Again, everybody, we are onward and upward today to number 60, and it is hot today, just so y'all know. As always, please just keep watching and sharing. Share these with everyone you know. Make your own list and tag your own loved ones. Help me build this thread so we can visibly show everyone how we are all connected. All of us important, how much we all matter in the lives of each other. Alright, so this boy right here, I love him so much I can't even explain it. And truth be told, he is probably wondering why he was not tagged in with the fast food crew, since that is where I met him and he is part of that crew. But he wasn't tagged in that one because this boy deserves his own video. Because this one is another very big and very touchy one. Very, very painful. So, like I said, I met him as one of my coworkers, and instantly we got along great. He is funny and intelligent and can be quite a bit of an asshole most days. And when he puts in the effort, he is one of the best workers I've ever met. But there's always been a something more beneath his skin and behind his eyes. I have always connected very, very deeply with this kid. We've been friends for a few years now, and his loyalty and honesty are invaluable in a friendship. But just telling you all how awesome he is doesn't explain how he saved my life. And this one is a really touchy one that most nobody knows about yet. So it makes me nervous to talk about it. It was around 8-10 months ago, actually, so it was very, very recent as well. Okay, so from the previous video, we gotta skip ahead in the story a little. At this point, I had been with my ex again for quite a while, trying to build a future together. A few other things had happened, but I will get to those in the next video. I'll recap on what I'm skipping. But nutshell, after I had posed that ultimatum to her, she tried to continue the relationship with the other boy, but ended up leaving him eventually anyways, and I dropped my fling with the woman from the previous video, and me and the ex got back together really quickly. And within a few months, I ended up moving in with her. But immediately upon breaking up with the boy and then getting with me, she was at the time now my girlfriend, not my ex, but she sunk into her own very bad, very deep, and very long bout of depression. And from my perspective, I felt like the entire time being with me, she was just sad. And nothing I ever did helped. If I tried to help with chores or at work, I was helping too much or not doing it right and would irritate her. If I tried to give her space and not pester her, I was being too distant. If I tried talking to her, I was being too pushy. And through the entirety of the relationship, sex was a constant issue. Because most people amid depression don't often have much sex drive. And hers disappeared completely. And with mine being what it is, it was a really big problem between us. Such a powerful and undeniable force beneath my skin, and mine is actually something that increases when I'm depressed. So the worse I got, the worse it got. And throughout the course of the relationship, we said some really hurtful things to each other over sexuality. So I felt like we had both been unhappy in this relationship since it began. And we both just continued to push each other deeper into our own depressive states, and getting worse and worse by the day. But even amid it, even as it was all happening, I loved her. Loved her more than the pain I was enduring. Loved her to the point that I started to believe that me having pushed her into the ultimatum is what triggered the depression. That being with me is what was making her sad. So, day by day, I began to slowly pull myself back and distance myself more emotionally. I stopped talking with her about how to try and help us. I stopped talking altogether to anyone about emotional stuff. I stopped talking about it because I felt like I had the answer already. I just didn't want to do it. I couldn't. The answer was to leave her. But I love her. So instead I just stopped talking. And I stayed. Quiet and obedient and responsible. But every day I got worse and worse inside. Internally, I had ripped the landscape of my own psyche to shreds. My sexuality became a tangible beast every time I closed my eyes. I could see its face. And the more I ignored it, the more angry it became, spilling over into my persona. It seemed to almost seep through my skin like a strong undercurrent of rage beneath my usual demeanor. I stopped hanging out with friends. My work began to suffer really badly. My patience and hospitality pretty much went right out the window. And in customer service, that's unacceptable. It led to me getting multiple customer complaints about my attitude. And randomly amid all of this, I began to dream about the other woman from the previous video. And immediately the guilt of that became a sticky bile on my conscience. So, inside my psyche, it quite literally felt like I was dying. Every day. I began to hate going to sleep because of the dreams. Hated being awake because of the torment of my sexuality and the sadness of not being able to be happy with the woman I love. And hated waking up to face it all over again. Every fucking day. I began to wish. Really, really wish. Deep down inside me. that I would just not wake up. Just let me go to sleep and not wake up tomorrow. Please. Like I said, I'm trying not to smoke in these, but that's when, somewhere amid the slow grinding of those days that still blend together, this boy randomly got a hold of me. Just small talk at first, wanting to check up on me, hadn't talked in a while. We both lightly mentioned that we had been having life troubles to each other, and set up to get together the very next night after work, just to hang out and visit. And he came over, and we both told each other about everything that was going on with us. We talked for hours and hours that night about what was happening right now, about our pasts, other shit we'd been through. He told me some of his own horror stories, and my love and respect for him grew even more. We talked so long that night that we actually made the girlfriend get mad because she was sleeping, and we'd woke her up and she sleepily, grumpily growled at us in her underwear. And that night, I realized what it is that I can see behind this boy's eyes. That something about him that I am so in love with. He is not just a survivor. He survived, and he doesn't feel guilty for being alive. I admire that strength in him more than I could ever explain. For someone like me who's felt guilty for being alive every day that I've been, that night he explained to me that, mistake or not, we have to make the choices that keep us waking up tomorrow. That regardless what I chose to do, the choice had to be to stay here, alive, present in this world, because I was still needed. So, Mr. Kenneth, episode 60 is for you, my man. You are nothing less than a brother to me, and you are such a beautiful human being. Your presence in my life is something that I highly value and treasure. And you, my boy, if you find your drive and dedication, there is nothing you cannot do or be. Nothing that is not within your grasp. There is a force inside of you that is unfucking stoppable to anything except yourself. You saved my life that night. And maybe you kinda already figured that, but now you know for sure. And why? It's not just because you showed up. It's because you let me see who you are, where you come from, why you are Kenneth. And letting me see your soul inspired me. That night was one of the biggest fueling factors for this entire project. You saved my life because you are you. And I met you. It's that fucking simple. And I adore you for it. Everything about you matters in this world. I love you, and you will always matter. Episode 60. Kenneth.